And then when I went to my other classes, it's interesting because only the core classes, math, science, ELA, social studies, those classes were broken up. So yes, you're different, but everybody is. And your differences are not your deficiencies. Your differences are not your drawbacks. Your differences are not your downfalls. It's your differences that determine your destiny. And you are destined to be great. You are destined to be amazing. You are destined to do fantastic things because of who you are. That's your reality. And it's beautiful. Don't get so caught up in the perfection of a fantasy that you miss out on the beauty of your reality. How are you going to be the background singer in your own music video? This is your life. Live it. I just want to thank Kathy again so much for bringing me out, and I really had a great time spending some time with you here today. And I really hope that you learned some things that you can take back and that you can apply. But one of the things that I didn't do was I wasn't able to share with you why this message was so important to me. And this message is so important to me because even at this moment, like right now, when I'm looking down to the audience, I see people, I see you, but I really just see me. And the reason why I have the message that you are enough is because I'm talking to me. So much of my life, I didn't feel like I was enough. So much of my life, I felt like I was inadequate. It's funny, if I were to tell you where I grew up, you would probably feel sorry for me. If I were to tell you my zip code growing up in Staten Island, New York, you would not look at me and say that this is where I would eventually end up. I was just really filled with crime, with poverty, with a lot of bad situations surrounding me. But I was in a unique situation because the household that I grew up in didn't look like the environment that I grew up in. I always say that even those things were surrounding me, they didn't become a part of me because in my household, I had love, I had care, and I had support. I had two parents. I had two parents with advanced degrees. And it was interesting because the way that I was grown up made it to be so different, like when I went out to school and things like that. I went to a Title I school, and if you know what that means that, on the books, it means that more than half the school qualifies for free or reduced lunch. That's what it means. But a lot of times what that meant in my situation was it was a high minority school, and a lot of times there was academic performance issues. A lot of times there were behavior issues. There was a lot of crime. It was not really safe, and I never really felt comfortable. But in my school, when I was in middle school, it was broken up into two different types of sections. So with my core classes, we had honors classes, and I was in honors classes where I was able to hang with students that were doing great things academically. And I was able to hang with them academically, but I was surrounded by a whole bunch of people that didn't look like me. And if I could be plain today, I was one of the only black students in my class. So academically, I was hanging with them, but socially, they were treating me different. Socially, I couldn't connect. Socially, not just them, but the teachers, the other students, they didn't treat me like I belonged. And I felt as if I was inadequate. I felt as if I wasn't enough. And if honestly, I wasn't. And then when I went to my other classes, it's interesting because only the core classes, math, science, ELA, social studies, those classes were broken up. They call it homogeneously. So those classes were broken up, allowing me to be in those honors classes with everybody who was on a similar academic level. But on my elective classes, they weren't broken up that way. So I was just in a group with random students. And since I was in a school that was majority minority, once I got into those classes, the majority of those students looked like me, but they didn't act like me. And when I was in those classes, when I tried to hang with those students socially, I tried to connect with them, I tried to be in a room with them, and then they would call me names. They would make fun of me. They would call me Oreo. Oreo means that you're dark on the outside, but you're really white on the inside. And they call me Oreo because I used to hang out with the other kids in my core classes. And because I dressed a little bit differently. And because I pronounce all the letters when I speak, they would call me Oreo. And I just felt like I couldn't really connect with that group of student either. So I didn't feel like I can connect with the first group of student. I hang with them academically, but socially we didn't connect. With the other students, socially, we wasn't really getting together because they would make fun of me. I felt inadequate. I felt out of place. And I felt like I wasn't enough. And I was right. And then one step further, I was in a magnet school. And I really love to sing, act, and dance. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm kind of a performer, right? So I love to sing, act, and dance. And I had the singing down. I used to sing in church all the time. I had the acting down. I was in drama classes, and I was good as an actor. I was in performances, but I was like, man, I really need to get this dancing thing down. So one of the electives I chose was dance class, but then I was the only male in that class. So now I'm in a dance class doing things that I love, and I'm dancing. I'm trying to become a triple threat. I could already sing, I could already act. Now I'm trying to become a triple threat. But now, because I'm in dance class, people calling me names because I could do a grand plie and I could do a kickball change. Now I must be gay, right? So now everybody's making fun of me. Everybody's laughing at me. And it feels like nowhere I go am I enough for anybody. And I wish I could say that it ended in middle school, like that was the end of it. But then as I went into high school, the tradition stayed the same. Then when I went to college, the tradition stayed the same. And deep into my 20s, I'm realizing that I was consistently trying to figure out who I was, consistently trying to figure out what I wanted to be, consistently trying to figure out why is it that everywhere I go and every situation I try to put myself in, I feel as if I'm not enough. And one thing I had to learn, and what I realized, and what I hope you get, is that when the shift happened for me, is when I realized that life is too short to live it on somebody else's terms, but it's long enough to realize that and make a turn. And I decided to make a turn that I wasn't going to live on somebody else's terms, that I wasn't going to allow somebody else's viewpoints of how I should show up determine how I actually would. That's when the shift happened for me, when I realized that I wasn't enough because I was consistently using the wrong standard to measure myself. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. My sister likes to create clothes. Like she likes to make clothes. That's what she does, and she's really good at it. But last Christmas, she wanted to make a present for me. So she, obviously, since it was a present, it was Christmas, it was a surprise, she didn't want me to know that she was making it. So what she did was she broke into my room and she took one of my shirts and she measured my shirt and she used those measurements to then go ahead and make me a new shirt. So on Christmas, she gave me the shirt and I was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. And she opened it and it was a fly shirt. Like it was dope. It was nice. You know, I got a little swag on me, right? So it was a really nice shirt. I was like, oh, but when I looked at it, I was like, look a little small, but it's a nice shirt though. It's nice. So then she gave me the shirt. It was one of those that you zip in the front and I put it on and it was small. It was definitely small. It was a little tight. And I was just smiling through it. I was like, thank you. And I was putting it on. And as I tried to zip it, now I'm walking around like this because it was a little tight and I couldn't breathe and I felt uncomfortable and I felt out of place. And I was like, so Downey, how did you come up with the measurements for the shirt? And she said, I took a shirt out of the pile in your room and I used that to measure it. And that's the standard that I used to create this new shirt. And I laughed because I was like, the pile in my room is a pile of clothes I was donating to Goodwill because they had gotten too small. See, I've been going to the gym a little bit. I was trying to get my body right for summer. So when I looked at the shirt that she had, I was like, the explanation for why it doesn't fit is because you used the wrong standard to measure me. So as long as you are measuring yourself with the wrong standard, you're always going to feel like you're out of place. You're always going to feel like it doesn't fit. You're always going to feel like you're tight and you're uncomfortable because that standard was not meant to measure you. But once you recognize that you have to measure yourself with the correct standard, the standard that says, I am who I am who I was made to be, and I'm the only person like me. When you can measure yourself with the correct standard, you're always going to be enough. And that's the message that I want everybody to understand today, that you're always going to be enough because you're measuring yourself with the correct standard. So yes, you're different, but everybody is. And your differences are not your deficiencies. Your differences are not your drawbacks. Your differences are not your downfalls. It's your differences that determine your destiny. And you are destined to be great. You are destined to be amazing. You are destined to do fantastic things because of who you are. You are the only person on this planet that can do the things that you do. The only person on this planet that can show up how you show up. And it is your differences that are going to allow you to make a difference in this world. So own up to your differences. For far too long, I struggled. For far too long, I didn't understand it's my differences that were actually my amazing. If you look at your difference as if it's a deficiency, you'll operate as if it is. But if you look at your difference as you're amazing, you'll operate with confidence. And I need you to walk confidently knowing that it's your differences that make you amazing. Because you are the only one that's the expert in your experience. You're the only one that can show up. Not the best person to do it. The only person that can show up the way that you consistently show up. Nobody else can do the things that you do. Because you were put on this earth to do exactly what you were doing right now. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you're doing what you're doing. And I'm so grateful that lives are being changed because of the work that you are putting in. And I know it's not always easy. I know it's not. But believing that it's going to be easy is believing in a fantasy. I told my daughter, I said, baby girl, look, there's a rainbow in the air. She said, no, there's no rainbow. Because she had the picture of perfection in her mind. And every time we see and we think about the fantasy of this perfection, when we think about the perfection of a fantasy, we're going to miss out on the beauty of our reality. A fantasy says that this is going to be easy all the time. A fantasy says that it's going to be met without struggles. The fantasy says that even though students are going through emotional instability, they're still going to be able to show up without any behavior issues. The fantasy says that we can treat all students the same, even though in one class I have students reading novels, and in that same class some students can't even write their name. The fantasy says that we're going to continue that everybody was equally affected by everything we've been through these last couple of years, and that there's no post-traumatic stress, and that nobody's dealing with any of these emotional turmoil. But just because the fantasy looks that way, and just because we may not be reaching that fantasy, doesn't mean I want you to lose sight of the beauty in your reality. And the reality of the situation is, even in an ever-changing world for these students, some that are in and out of foster care, some that are arriving late because they're living in hotels, in this ever-changing world, you're that constant for them. That's beautiful. The beauty in your reality, that even though students are not quite where we want them to be yet, they're a whole lot further than when they used to be, and that's because of you. The reality that even though students are coming in and they are being stressed and they don't understand what's going on, because of your love, because of your care, because of your support and the way that you continue to show up, you're changing their lives and impacting them in a way that they will forever remember you and forever be changed. That's your reality, and it's beautiful. Don't get so caught up in the perfection of a fantasy that you miss out on the beauty in your reality. So there's a couple of things that I need you to do in order to make sure that you can pursue excellence. So here's what I need you to do. The first thing is I need you to dial in your differences. Right? Like if you were to take out your phone, I need you to dial in your differences, because it's your differences that make you who you are. It's your differences that allow you to stand out. It's your differences that are your amazing and that are going to make a difference in this world. The things that make you unique, the things that make you you, the things that make you who you are, those are your differences. And that's what makes you amazing. That's what is going to lead to your impact, because nobody else has the things that you currently have. So the first thing I need you to do is dial in your differences. The second thing I need you to do is hope that your pet peeves pick up. So after you dial in your differences, hopefully your pet peeves pick up. Because interestingly enough, your pet peeves help to determine what you put on this earth to help to create, to help to fix. So for me, one of my pet peeves is when I see somebody or talk to somebody or experience somebody who is doing something that they are forced to do because they don't have the option to do something else. That's a pet peeve of mine. Like when I talk to somebody and she's working at Waffle House, but she wanted to be a nurse instead. I have no problem with Waffle House. The chicken biscuits are kind of good. I have no problem with Waffle House. The issue I have is when you wanted to be a nurse instead, but maybe you didn't have the academics. Maybe you didn't have the finances to get into nursing school. Maybe you didn't have what it takes to pass the NCLEX currently. And that pains me, because you're forced to live a life that you're forced to settle for instead of a life to choose, because you don't have the option to do something else. That's my pet peeve. So since that's my pet peeve, I match that with my differences, my ability to speak, my ability to connect, my ability to understand, and I match what my pet peeves are to the differences that are different about me to allow me to make a difference in this world. And that's what I need you to do. I need you to dial in your differences. What sets you apart? What makes you different? What makes you unique, and what makes you you? Dial in your differences. Hope your pet peeves pick up. And once they do, then put yourself on speakerphone. That means I need you to live out loud. Put yourself on speakerphone and live out loud. Be you times two. Whoever you are, you don't need to hide in the background. How are you going to be the background singer in your own music video? This is your life. Live it. Don't allow somebody else's viewpoint of how you should show up dictate how you actually do. You are the lead singer in your life. And make sure that after you dial in those differences and you identify what makes you different, You identify what makes you amazing, that you then hope your pet peeves pick up and start addressing those things and put yourself on speakerphone. Make sure that you are living out loud the life that you were called to live, because nobody else can live it for you. Every single person on this earth is different. Every single person on this earth is unique. Everybody has some things about them that make them amazing because of the 3,000 base pairs of DNA that's in our body. 99% of it is the same as everybody else on this earth. Everybody has coding DNA. 99% of the DNA that's in your body is the same as everybody that's ever walked on this planet. 99% of the DNA that's in your body is the same as everybody at your job. 99% of your DNA is just what makes you a human. It's that 1% that makes you amazing. And I need you to identify that amazing, to own that amazing, to live in that amazing, because 99 is not enough. Let me hear you, when I say 99, let me hear you say it's not enough. 99? 99? 99? Because 99% of your DNA is just what makes you a human. It's that 1% that makes you amazing. Be your amazing so that you can live the life that you choose and not the life you're forced to settle for. I'll see you all soon. I help new teachers become the teachers they've always wanted to be and make the impact our students deserve. Because I've been there. I know what it's like to struggle, to feel like I'm not enough, but I also know what's on the other side. Excitement, fulfillment, and the ability to change lives. Every great teacher was once a new teacher, and new teachers are often excited and eager and anxious, but a lot of times new teachers lack the foundational skills of effective instruction. Every teacher that I work with, I carry them through this journey, helping them master the principles of effective instruction so that they know how capable they are. I can't wait to see these teachers enact their 1% amazing and make the difference that only they can. If you would like for your school district to be empowered as well, you can click the link down below and our team will reach out to you.